I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
Hello and welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, the Fat Jack. Week 0 is here. Football season is here. Are you ready to go? Let's hope so. We're already off to a great start and ready to make some money betting on the games. Let me bring in my co-host from Louisville, Kentucky, so we can get the information out there, get some free plays out there, and much, much more. Mr. Brandon Rush. Brandon, how are you, buddy?
I want to congratulate everybody. We made it to week 0. There were times in April and May that it felt a long ways away, but look up after the European Soccer Championships and the Olympics, and then boom, we're here, and it's glorious, and I'm very happy.
I threatened to take up drinking a number of times,
which for those who don't know would be a big thing because
I don't
you don't drink.
Yeah, well, I think, and I told Karen, I said, drinking basically means I'm going to do drugs also.
It's a gateway, sure, yeah.
I'm okay.
It's someone in your shoes. Yeah.
If I tiptoe into the lake, I'm going to be back floating by lunch. So, yeah. So I didn't see the threat, the stop marks. And frankly, I don't think most people see them. Even the guys that don't do drugs, most people I know that drink too much. They drink too much for their own good. So I don't feel like there are any stop things that I should be stopping. And I was just going to walk in and see where I ended up. When you're an empty nester, Brandon, these are the things that go through your head. I was raising children.
For the last 25 years, you've been obviously having a great job and a great wife and building a family, and now they've left the nest. It's just you and Karen.
Yeah, my wife's still here, but the kids have left, and I'm like, why not? Let's see what meth tastes like.
I'm glad we didn't go down that path.
No, we got to football. Yeah, we got to football. That's why. So thank God for football, because another month or so. Only time will tell. But, yeah, hey, guys, if you made it, congratulations. We are to football season. Week 0's here. Week 0, not exactly, but a little like the preseason of college football. It's not something that you're diving in. It's one of those, when you walk in the lake, don't dive into the lake because it's shallow. You're going to want to tiptoe in, get used to the water, and then get going. That's kind of what week 0 is. We have some matchups this year. I'll give the schedule guys credit. There are a more higher volume of games than normal, but are we talking about great games to watch? No, not necessarily. Are we talking about great games to bet on? No, definitely not the case. We talked about last week, Brandon, how college football has so much turnover now, and with the transfer portal and the conferences moving around, there's so many different variables right now. There's a couple things we're going to go over this show that will help guys that are betting on sports get themselves off to a good start, heading in the right direction. Number one is understand the product you're trying to make money playing. It's different in every sport. NFL is different than college. It's different from soccer. That's different from basketball or baseball. They're all different. So understand and just because we've had this long drought that took us through the summer and we're ready to get after it, a lot of us think we're Kenny Rogers right now because we built up our bankroll. Let's not give that away in week 0 simply because we're bored. It's important at this point in the year to understand what you're betting on, understand how to get into profit. Rule number 1 with this week is let's make money. We're not trying to retire. We just want to make money. So we want a balance of 0. And by the way, if you're signed up at fatjacksports.com, which hopefully a lot of you are and you're ready to get after it again this year, go to fatjacksports.com while you're watching this show, and you'll see why so many people from around the country dial in, get signed up, get the winning plays. But if you're already a member, you're 7-2. In the NFL preseason, which I instruct guys, if you're a $100 or a $200 football player, play $50 on these games. So what's that? Couple $100? You're already up to $250 just on that. You're up about 30 games in baseball over the summer for free. All that's free. You're ready to go. So you're already off the 0 line. Now, if you're signing up today, let's put you at 0 because you're just now getting in our system, and let's make sure that by the end of the weekend we do everything we can to get off of 0 and go forward. That's the only goal. We're not trying to retire, not trying to quit our jobs, not in week 0. We're going to just get going the right direction so we're not playing catch-up, which if you're waiting another week to sign up at fatjacksports.com, you're most likely going to be down. And now you're playing catch-up. Now we got to get you back to 0 to then get into profit. Right now is a huge, huge time of year if you're betting on sports because for most of you, you're not deep into debt. You can make some decisions now that will get you into profit. And if you listen to this show, you're halfway there because we're going to give you some information over the next hour or so that will get you deeper into profit and just give you some fundamental guidelines to help you not make bad choices. Right, Brandon?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. Getting off on the right foot is one pillar of being a successful sports bettor, not digging yourself a hole. And like you said, you're not retiring this week. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We always see, hey, you can't win a football game in the first quarter. You can absolutely lose it. And right now is kickoff. So we don't want to give up an opening kickoff and be down, be playing from behind the sticks for the rest of September.
And for a lot of people, Brandon, this is the start of whether they're going to be gambling by Thanksgiving or not.
Yeah.
If they do it on their own, the guys that and you guys know them, you're out there driving around, and you're wherever you are. You know people that will do exactly this. They will start out, and they are so excited. They're going to go to the first game of the year, no matter where you are in the country. And by the way, we picked up we're national this week. A lot of markets around the country get the show. So you're in South Florida. You're going to go to the first Dolphins game or go to Florida Atlantic or whatever. You're out in Knoxville. You're going to go see the Vols play. Super excited about betting this year. Super excited about getting your app and get going. But you don't know what you're doing. You have no way to know how to actually win doing this. You're going to start this week, and you may win a little bit, you may lose a little bit, but something will happen, and then you're going to get into debt over the next 2 or 3 weeks for sure. Then you're going to come to a fork in the road and say, all right, well, what do? Do I call the Fat Jack? Do I go to fatjacksports.com and start digging my way out? Or do I just keep going and understand things will probably hopefully turn around for me a little bit, which is what people who don't know what they're doing but think that things will flip do? Do I do that? And then what ends up happening? You go deeper and deeper into profit. Then you have that one bit bad week where the Vols don't cover late when they should have, and you turn around on Sunday and the New Orleans Saints get an intentional safety late. Now you're mad, and you go Sunday night, you bet all of your bankroll, you lose, and then you are done gambling somewhere between Halloween and Christmas. Don't be that guy. All right? That's one method. The other method is you go to fatjacksports.com, get signed up, you start building profit, and then you become one of those guys that a lot of you out there also know are guys that consistently win money betting on sports, and you're like, how are they doing that? Because they may not even tell you they're getting my picks. You just know that they win some. And you're like, how are they doing that? Well, how they're doing that most of the time is they've tapped into one of the 3% of people in the country that can consistently win doing this. They're taking their picks, either with their picks or maybe not. Hopefully not, but maybe. And they're building profit each year, and they're having a great time. And when Christmas comes, it's a great time of year. And then you move into the next year making more money. Those are your smart friends. So follow your smart friends. Go to fatjacksports.com. Let's look at this week's card, Brandon. Florida State, Georgia Tech, obviously the marquee game for Week 0. Florida State, 11.5-point favorite. A lot of expectations for Florida State in the ACC with the kind of vulnerability that Clemson has shown. People are real fired up about them. They're kind of a sexy national championship type pick. We're going to see right away what they aren't. They play Georgia Tech. They 11.5-point favorite, total 55.5. Anything else jump out at you from this Week 0? SMU, Nevada, I guess another one. Anybody else?
I mean, those are the top two games on the sports betting market for Week 0. There's a couple of games that play Thursday. Which, of course, next weekend, which will be the kickoff of 5 straight days of college football action. So there's one game that I'm circling on that. But you're right, Florida State Georgia Tech is sort of the marquee game, Week 0 in Dublin, Ireland. I don't necessarily like the going overseas to play college football games. It kind of feels like that should be a continental thing. I understand that. We're trying to expand the reach of, say the NBA or, Major League Baseball is playing in Korea and in London. But I don't like going overseas to play college football games. But that said, I'm sure it's exciting for them. 2
things before you go to Thursday's game. Number one, I have not won the Dublin, Ireland game yet. I think we're 0-2 in that, or maybe 1-3 or something. Okay. That's number one. Number two, marquee of a horrible talk show or whatever this show is host is that I say, what do you like in Week 0? And then I point out the only 2 games other than Montana State and New Mexico that you could possibly bet on. So it shows your your pedigree and your ability to immediately segue away from that stupid question that I asked. Who do you like in week 0, Brandon, besides SMU, Nevada, or Florida State, Georgia Tech? You're like, hey, jackass, there's only one more game going this weekend, and nobody cares about. How am I supposed to talk about Montana State, New Mexico? So kudos to you for immediately moving to Thursday's game. So, yeah, go ahead and tell us a couple of little things. So who do you like Thursday?
A mild upset, and we at least in terms of sportsbook numbers. If you are looking at North Dakota State going to Boulder to face Colorado as an 8.5-point underdog, you, my friends, I think are on the right side. Actually, I think that number's up to 9 now. North Dakota State is an absolute problem for, I would say, even good Division I teams. You play Colorado, who we've touched on in the preseason shows. Deion Sanders, what is he going to be? Is he going to be there next year? They have a very good chance of starting maybe 1-3, especially because they don't have a lot outside of Travis Hunter. They don't have a lot outside of Shedeur Sanders. So North Dakota State, great program. They have been for decades. I love them to go into Bouldering and at least be within the number. Would not shock me if they won that game.
Yeah, so I guess the bigger question that is that if Colorado goes and wins by 21 points, are we back on the is it Groundhog Day? Because last year
for the people who are normally done betting by Halloween, probably.
Because that's what we did last year, right? I mean, we basically, they won early, and everybody decided that there was more money bet on Colorado to win the national championship and Sanders to win the Heisman Trophy than any other when we headed into the second and third week of September until they started losing, even after squeaking out against Colorado State. People were still filing in money, hard-earned money on this team that ended up winning, 4 games last year, to win it all. And so how quickly do we get back on the Deion Sanders train? Because what's going to happen, Brandon, is if they do win, people are going to say, he cleaned house.
Mm-hmm.
Deion Sanders got rid of everybody, so the guy knows how to assess talent. He brought in a whole bunch of new guys. Yeah, they're brand new, but it'd be the same thing. I think it's a quick – so here's my point. If you're going to bet on that game, I do not load up on it because I don't know what North Dakota State is or isn't. I know that you're exactly right. Historically, this program has been something that wins and covers games against teams they're not supposed to and is top to bottom very deep, very disciplined, and totally different than what we would think the Buffs would be. But I would tell you this, if I would play North Dakota State, and I would almost compartmentalize my Colorado money, understanding that if North Dakota State doesn't cover this game, Brandon, there's a game in the next couple that you're going to be able to, if you wanted to load up, and we never recommend that, but you're going to be able to load up because I'm with you. I don't think, even if things go really well against North Dakota State, and I'm not saying they don't go to Nebraska and win too, but almost that same spot as last year, Colorado State or Nebraska. It's one of those two. They probably show their true colors. Probably didn't take as long this year, but fascinating stuff going on in Boulder for sure.
And you're right. If they go out and they say they win and comfortably cover that number at home against a traditionally tough program, and then they go to Nebraska and are at least competitive, I think you're still going to have those people on the sort of periphery of, think they know what they're talking about, be really shocked when they turn around and lay an egg against a Colorado State or Baylor or UCF in the first few weeks of the year.
We're always looking for value, and there's the bottom line of that is that as long as Colorado wins and covers, there's going to be generated huge value in betting against them. Yep. You're not going to get this. And so the flip side of that coin is if you want some value with the Buffs, it's probably now. Because if they are really good, and Deion Sanders has gone out, got the right kids, got everything going like I think the people in Boulder want him to, then this is the best number you're going to get with Colorado. Because remember what we talk about next week, Brandon, reactionary lines are where we're going to take advantage of next week. So these teams that come out week 0 or even through this week 1, first game out of the year, the ones that show up and play really well, they're the ones that historically we're going to make money on going into next week because the general public is chasing their tails. They overreact to what happens one week to the next. So Colorado goes and wins by 21 points against North Dakota State. They're going to be giving 3, 4, 5, 6 points more next week at Nebraska than they probably should. So be careful when you're going in week. Go ahead, Brandon.
I was just saying, looking at that number, looking ahead right now, Nebraska 6.5-point favorite. So if Colorado wins comfortably this on Thursday, that following game at Nebraska, that number could shrink immensely.
Yeah, now if they lose, I don't know that you're getting a much bigger number. It might move above a touchdown. So it is one of those things, if you believe what Brandon does with North Carolina State's going to at least be really close and possibly beat Colorado, you probably want to get that Nebraska money down now because the general public will overreact, and that's our key number. So if you can get it at 6, 6.5, that's better than 8 or 8.5. But if you think Colorado might be game, boy, you're going to get a much better number with Nebraska next week. And again, what is Nebraska? We're going to find out. Bottom line here is we're going to week 0 and week 1. Go to fatjacksports.com. Get signed up for one of my packages. Everything from just week 0's plays. Plays are in your portal. They're emailed to you immediately. Everything is automated. You don't have to talk to anybody. You'll get a recommended betting guide that will explain exactly what to do with these plays and how to bet them when you go to the sportsbook. But go get signed up there. That's number 1. Number 2 is don't go crazy in week 0 and week 1. Know the product that you're betting on and keep that in mind when you're betting these games. In college football, it's a lot of turnover. It's a lot of new pieces, and most people don't know much right now. By the way, including the sports books. They don't know a lot either. So really the challenge to making money over the first couple weeks in college football is who adjusts the quickest. Because I know a lot of guys, I know 3 or 4 guys that set lines for major casinos around the country, and they'll tell you the same thing, Brandon. They are playing, and nobody knows. And they're okay not knowing because they know that you don't know either. If you're out there listening and you're betting, you don't know. You don't know anything either. You're going to know more after week 0. You're going to know more after week 1. Their numbers will tighten up. You'll get a little bit smarter. They will stay ahead of the curve. You will always be chasing. How quickly my guys and we can get out in front of the curve and still find some of these spots, which we've been incredibly good at doing over the last 27 years and certainly over the last 4 or 5 years since all this extra money's come into the sports books. How quickly we're able to do that will determine how much money we make over the month of September. Generally speaking, that's a ton of money. So good time to go get signed up, start winning, and don't dig yourself a hole on your own and miss out on this opportunity that my clients and I will be taking advantage of. Thousands of clients from around the country signed up at fatjacksports.com and ready for another huge year. We are going to give the most thorough why not to bet parlay lesson that I've ever given. And it's going to take more than 2 minutes or so, but I think it's one of the number 1 reasons why the average gambler out there, whether they're going to Vegas or going to Kansas or betting in Florida, wherever they are, why they lose money betting on their own. It's the number 1 thing that drags them down and loses their money. And I don't think most of them, they're now hearing more and more people say, including myself almost every time you turn on the radio, don't bet parlays. But I don't think they actually know why to not bet parlays. I don't think it works that way. The brain just doesn't go that way. And by the way, doesn't mean you guys are dumb that do that. It just means that you don't thoroughly understand why not to bet parlays, so you're still doing it. So I'm going to explain it I'm going to break it as far down as I possibly can so that guys out there driving around right now, whether they're going to sign up or not, are going to have a better handle on what the sports books are trying to get you to do and why it's maybe the last thing in the world you should do.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to fatjacksports.com where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. fatjacksports.com.
This is Brandon Rush from the Fat Jack Sports Service. If you want to stay in touch with everything related to the Fat Jack, follow us on all the socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it, we are there at Fat Jack Sports. You can also watch the Fat Jack Sports Hour on YouTube every week. Get free winners and tips on how to become a better sports bettor. Plus, see Jack's appearances on the nationally syndicated TV show Beat the Odds. Stay connected with the Fat Jack Sports Service at Fat Jack Sports on all the socials and on YouTube.
So many things going on. College football right around the corner for everybody. Starting up, of course, this weekend and starting on Thursday. Big games coming up all weekend long, whoever your favorite team is. They're going to be underway, playing their first game. For some of you, it'll be the beginning of the end, not only as a fan, but also as a gambling this year. Others, team's going to overachieve, might end up with a expanded playoff system this year, so you have a much better chance of getting in no matter who you're cheering for than you did this time last year. Bowl game's still happening, so there's something for everybody in college football. Hopefully you guys are fired up for that. Go to fatjacksports.com, get signed up today, and make money starting in week 0. But you've already missed 7-2 in the preseason to start the year. You've already missed 30 games of profit in baseball, but it's not too late for sure. Right now, everything will be going out this weekend, everything for Thursday. It's all automated. Less than $100 a week will get you into profit. Go get signed up today and win. All right.
You already missed a 3-0 in soccer last week.
We didn't even mention that. It's actually 4 units of profit, by the way. Just an absolute dagger for the books because they're thinking, okay, they're gonna tiptoe in. My clients and I will tiptoe in. Well, we might tiptoe in. We also might have a dude sitting over there in London who knows his soccer and gets us going 3-0 on Saturday, including a plus 165, a plus 145. So 4 units of profit in soccer, basically before I had lunch on Saturday. There's more of that coming. Go to the soccer package. There's one soccer package going right now between now and November. It breaks down to about $70 a week. If you played $100 a game in soccer, you would have won $400. So minus the $70 that you had invested over the course of those 3 months, you'd be up $330 in soccer alone. And that's after a summer that made you huge profit, over 20 games of soccer profit in about 3 weeks. So great time to get signed up for that. Very a sneaky good deal. And if you like profit before the profit, I had a guy reach out and actually text me, Brandon, and said, I've hated soccer. I hated watching my kids play soccer. I don't want to watch soccer. But, God, I love being up $400 or more before I even start my Saturday. The money spends.
Good life, man.
Money spends the same. So
that's the good thing about being a sports bettor in some aspects. I don't care about Jackson State, UL Monroe, but guess what? If it's going to make me money, I'll at least pay attention to it. And the best part about all of it, Jack, you don't even have to watch the game.
Yeah, casual. Yeah, you're right. Casual losing gamblers, they feel like if I've got money on it, I have to watch it. What you learn when you and I and all of my clients is that you can watch it if you want. But if you don't want to, it's still going to be a win or a loss, whether you're watching or not. You can't will home a soccer domination. You can't will home a preseason game. You can't will home the national championship game. Nobody in that TV cares that you have money on it.
And conversely, if you're watching a game, you don't have to bet on it.
That's right.
That's allowed too. That's
right. And those are important things that we see. That's another lesson of trying to turn losing gamblers into winning gamblers is that one thing. You don't have to bet on it just because it's on TV. So those two things should be totally separate. Make your money on the places that are easier to make money. Watch the ones that are more entertaining to watch. Go to fatjacksports.com if you want to know the difference. All right, let's talk about, by the way, I have a big week coming up. I got to go to Vegas on Tuesday to tape the NFL preseason show of the football, the TV show that runs nationally on Wednesday.
Beat the odds, and we'll be able to see that. Does it air this weekend then?
It aired last weekend. It'll air this weekend. So, yeah, we'll have a link on the website. I need to get that done before this weekend. I talked to those guys. I had dinner with them at the TV show guys, and where people could just go to the website and watch it. But I got to go there Wednesday. Wednesday's also my 31st wedding anniversary.
Wow, 31?
Mrs. Fat Jack and I have been married 31 years. We lived together for like 3 before. So she pointed out today, as I put her on a plane to Florida, that we have been together more of our lives than we've been alive. So over half of our life we've been together, by a lot actually. But 34 years of being together, 31. That's my anniversary. The problem is I'm in Vegas, she's in Florida. So I'm taping the show Wednesday, then I'm going to bet my stuff, and then I'm getting right on a plane and flying to Florida to meet her. And I can also bet in Florida, which is super, super nice. Thank you, Florida. No thanks to Oklahoma. Fly right over Oklahoma. But go to Florida because it's our 31st wedding anniversary. So a lot going on this weekend along with week 0. Good time to get signed up. Let's talk about parlays, Brandon. So everybody knows, you may have heard, that parlays are basically the worst way that you can approach sports betting. Let me explain why. So I'm gonna break this down as easily as I can. If you're out there and you're betting, the assumption is going to be, and it really doesn't matter whether you hit 50% of the picks that you make or you hit 80% of the picks that you make. or you hit 30% of the picks you make. Parlays are bad no matter what. Here's why. For the sake of making this simple, we're going to assume that the guy betting can hit 50% of his games. All right? That's fair, right? You would think a guy sitting around that don't bet are thinking, gosh, I could just flip a coin and it should hit 50% long term, right? We're looking for long-term results. That's what we're looking for. Not I want to hit a parlay today and then I'll never play a parlay again. We're talking about generally playing parlays over the course of long term. That mathematically, what does that do? What are the odds of winning versus betting straight bets? Well, let's look at it. If there's two teams and you hit 50%, you're going to win half the time, you're going to lose half the time, right? So you're going to give away juice. Well, in the eyes of the casino, a straight bettor who just walks up to the window. By the way, it's one of the slower ways to lose money in a casino is if you don't know anything about anything, you just walk up and bet team A or team B. The eyes of the casino, the single bet loss on $11 to win $10 at 50% is 4.5% per bet. All right, now how we get that, we can break that down, but basically you're going to win one and then you're going to lose one. So per bet, you're going to lose about 5%, right? Because you're going to lose.
You're going to lose juice.
Yeah, it's 10% on juice. So you're going to win $10 one time. You're going to lose 11. Over those two bets, you're going to lose about 5% of your bet. Okay, so that's the standard. You bet hit 50% of the bets. You're going to lose about 4.5% per bet to the casino. That's how they look at it. Now let's look at a parlay. When you play a parlay, let's just start with a two-teamer because your odds are best on a two-team parlay. They get much worse. I'm going to give you the numbers as we go forward. But on a two-team parlay where you have two different teams playing each other, you need to hit both of those teams to win your bet. How much does that parlay pay? About 2.5 to 1.
Okay.
So you get $5, $2 to win 5. So 2.5 to 1. Okay. Here's how difficult it is to hit a two-team parlay. If you have two teams or two games with two teams each, there's 4 different teams, right? So how many possible combinations are there for you to win and lose? There are 4 different combinations available on a two-team parlay. There's if Oklahoma's playing Texas and Oklahoma State is playing Utah, you can bet Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Utah, Oklahoma State, Texas. You see what I'm saying? There are 4 different combinations, right?
Right.
So on a two-team parlay, there are 4 combinations. Let's assume that you can hit 50% of the games that you pick. You're going to win your two-team parlay 1 out of 4 times because you're going to pick the correct 2 teams of these 2 games 1 out of 4 times, and you're going to lose. You're going to pick the wrong combination 3 of 4 times.
So we immediately went from a 50-50 chance to a 25% chance.
A 25% chance over the long term. Now, it doesn't mean you're not going to hit 5 parlays in a row, but if you're a 50% gambler, you can pick 50% right and wrong. Most of you are not. You're worse than that. But if you were 50%, then you're going to have a 1 in 4 chance of hitting that parlay. This is just on a 2-teamer, by the way, which is the best odds. So you now went to a 25% chance of losing. So if you break that down from the casino standpoint on how much money they're going to make every time you bet a 2-team parlay, they're going to make 8.9% of your wager. So on a straight bet, we were giving them 4.5% of our bet. Now on a 2-team parlay, we're giving them double that. We're giving them 8.9% of our bet. So if you bet $100 upon your parlay 4 times and you pick 50%, you're going to give them $8.90. So about $9 every time you bet, you're going to lose over the course of history if you're a 50% bettor. You'll say, well, Jack, what if I'm a 70% bettor? The variance is there in sports to where you're never going to be 100% better. So even at 70%, you can apply these exact same numbers. Because if you hit 7 out of 10 parlays, that is going to lose you more money as opposed to betting that same amount of money on straight bets. Does that make sense?
It does to me, yes.
Okay, and I'm sure I've lost some people, and I'm sorry. Let me
There's
just
some
quick.
people driving right now who are going cross-eyed, going, "I just want to know who's winning this weekend."
It's all math, Brandon. It's all math. All I'm trying to do right now is have people not go broke before they sign up at FatJackSports.com. That's all I want them to do. Don't go broke before you sign up at FatJackSports.com. Understand that if you're betting a two-team parlay, you're going to lose 3 of them on average when you're going to win 1. 1 out of every 4. That is worse odds by double than if you bet a straight bet, and that's on a two-team parlay. It gets worse. And I'm going to quickly go over not why. If you don't understand that concept, the minute I start bringing 3, 4, 5, 6 team parlay, you're out. So you're moving on to your next
over
step.
your head, right?
So let me just tell you that if you bet 3-team parlays versus betting a straight bet, you're going to lose your money 3 times faster. Every time you place a 3-team parlay, you're going to lose 13% of your money. If you're able to hit 50%. So, Brandon, if you're not hitting 50%, it's going to be more than 13%. If you're hitting more than 50% of the games, you're going to win more often, but you're still going to lose at a much, much faster rate than if you were betting straight bets. 4-team, it's up to 17%. So every time you bet a $100 parlay 4-teamer, you on average over the history of you being able to pick games, you're going to lose $20. So 20 of your 100. So you're going to hit 1, and then you're going to give them 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20 on average over the history. And so you're going to lose $20, almost $20 every single time. 5-team parlays, you're losing 21%. 6-team parlays, 24.4%. 7-team parlays, 27.8%. And 8-team parlays, almost $30. More than $30 out of every 100 on an 8-team parlay. Bottom line is, guys, even for the lowest, the 2-team parlay over the history of your betting, so if you're going to continue betting, not just hit 1 and then quit forever, you're going to lose your money twice as fast betting a 2-team parlay than you would if you were betting straight bets. So if you hear one thing I say, stop. And that's why when you open up your FanDuel app or you open up your DraftKings, why they're offering you parlays is because they're in the business of taking your money as fast as they possibly can while also getting you addicted to something fun. Right? That's their job.
Right, exactly. Their job. It's like Doyle Brunson, one of the greatest poker players ever to play the game, had one of the best quotes about betting that I've ever heard. It is a crime to let an idiot keep his money, and that is exactly how sportsbooks operate. Yes, they're giving you options. Sure, you want to bet so and so to score a touchdown tonight. Well, here plus 550. Go for it. Guess what? We're gonna put. Literally, I just opened the DraftKings app. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 same-game parlays that they've promoted for action today. Because they believe you're an idiot and they want your money.
The same-game parlay, the guys that invented same-game parlay, which was actually brought around by FanDuel, I'll just throw them out there. But the same-game parlay, the guy that created that, got promoted up the ranks so fast and is now driving a Maybach, living on the Jersey Shore because he has to be close to New York, and is making millions upon millions of dollars. That single invention has made these sports books so much money. It's one of the most profitable things that was ever invented was the same game parlay. So bottom line, guys, if you're going to bet it, even if you win, you are doing exactly what the sports book wants you to do to give them their money the fastest. All I'm telling you is even if you're not going to sign up with somebody like myself who's going to proven over a quarter of a century will make you more money than you're going to lose. You'll get you into profit. Try not to do the 1 or 2 things that these sports books want you to do to give them give them your money the fastest, right? I mean, that's all I'm saying. So go to FatJackSports.com. If you're not, watch this show and bet straight bets. Don't bet parlays. You're giving your way money quicker than you should. You're like, Jack, boy, you come into this season with a little bit of an edge. I mean, right? I mean, that's what it sounds like. And here's why, Brandon. I think that the general public is being taken advantage of. FanDuel doesn't pay me any money. DraftKings doesn't pay me. I don't get paid by Caesars. I've said since day one in this, I had offshore sportsbook reaching out to me for a decade, trying to get me to join with them, to send my players to them, to give them, they'll give me back part of the losses, and basically join the ranks of the opposite side of what we're trying to do. There is a place in the world for winning gamblers. There's a place in the world for sports books, and there's a place in the world for losing gamblers. We all need each other. But I'm not going to join ranks with somebody that I know for a fact their job is to extract money from the general public, from the really uneducated, ignorant general public, as fast as they possibly can. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get people on the right side of these games. I'm going to get you making money betting on these games. And then, as importantly, we're going to educate and turn more of those losing gamblers, that category of the 96% of the gamblers in the world that are losing gamblers, into a higher percentage of winning gamblers. It can be done, and I'm not the only person that does it. I know other guys that also make a lot of money betting on sports, but you have to do things the right way. It's like anything else. The more you know, the better you're going to be at it. So go to fatjacksports.com, get signed up today, and start winning. Let's give away a free winner, and then let's tell me who you think is going to win the national championship, Brandon.
I keep going back and forth on trying to obviously play against the Georgia, Texas, Ohio States of the world, and looking at who we've got, with player movement and everything else. I really feel like Oregon is in a situation, Jack, that they could be in the conversation very late. It would not shock me if they are in the final four teams. Those national semifinals in our first ever 12-team playoff. It would not shock me if they are in that and contending. Dylan Gabriel obviously has done a lot of good throughout his career. I believe he's now his 6th-year senior after playing at Central Florida and then at Oklahoma. That is a program that has quality investment, quality facilities. You look at programs on the West Coast like USC, like Washington, who have had success, but they've seen a lot of guys leave. Oregon keeps reloading. And even in spite of their coaching, who at time has been a little bit suspect, the fact that they're now going into the Big Ten and they're going to be playing teams that I think they can out-athlete, they're going to put themselves in a great position to make a run not only in the conference but also in the national landscape.
Well, they pick up a Heisman Trophy front runner from Oklahoma, their quarterback, and they go into a conference where there are a lot of sharp players that believe that the tops of that conference are going to be down. Everybody kind of pretty sure Michigan's going to take a step back. Yes. A lot of the sharp players putting Michigan and Alabama kind of the same boat, and that they had a great run, they were up there, but expect them to take at least a half a step back for the short term until these athletes, who have much more freedom and flexibility than they have in the past, figure out what that program is. That will probably lead to a step back. So your point's good there. You also have some coaches within some of these conferences that don't do well against teams that are in the top 10. We talked about James Franklin at Penn State a lot. He's 3-22 over his career straight up against teams
top 10 teams.
Top 10 teams, and so they run into some of these. We don't know what Michigan's new coach is. We talked about Ohio State's coach Ryan Day. He's only 8-7 against teams in the top 10. So you're going to have some of these teams in the Big Ten that we think will take a step back or historically haven't done great against other really good teams. And as you said, we've got Oregon coming into that conference. That's definitely something to look at. I will tell you this, Brandon. Last year, people don't realize, but it was a very favorite-driven year across all of sports gambling. Front runners were the ones that cashed the tickets. Michigan was 10-1 preseason, one of the favorites to win the national championship in college football. The Kansas City Chiefs, 6-1 to win the Super Bowl. That was favorite. NCAA basketball, Connecticut was 12-1. That was a favorite or second choice. NCAA women's basketball, South Carolina was 3-1.
Yep.
They end up winning. The Masters, Scotty Scheffler, the favorite at 9-1. He wins the Masters. NBA, Boston Celtics.
Yep.
Celtics were first or second choice. They win. And the NHL, the Florida Panthers, they were 18-1, which seems long, but it was only fourth or fifth choice. So I guess my point is if we've had all this money flowing in, the cream has risen to the crop from a gambling perspective over the last year, and not just in college football. So I would caution people about betting a lot of money on some of these longer shots. Make sure that you're really, you're conservative with these bets, because what we've seen is that Georgia's probably going to be in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're looking at history, you're looking at favorites rising to the top and getting it done, at least over the last year. And until that turns, I don't know how much money I'd want to have invested in a 50 or 60-1 long shot. With that being said, we talked about this last week. I think there's ways to manipulate and get a team or two in that 12-team tournament that you can then get out of if you need to at 50 or 60 to 1. We talked about Utah winning, instead of betting them to win the Big 12 at 3-1, we're going to bet them to win the national championship at 65 to 1. If they win the Big 12, they get a first-round bye in the tournament. We can then hedge out of them. We'll talk about that later if that happens, and they get in the tournament. And the other team that I'm going to bet that's a long shot, and I'm betting this team not so much because I can hedge, although there is a hedge opportunity, is I'm betting the Clemson Tigers to win it all for a bunch of reasons, Brandon. And let me quickly run that down because these are your first two winners of the day. Brandon likes Oregon. Put $2 on that if you want. I'm giving you Clemson, and I'm going to tell you why. The only team outside the armed forces, so Army, Navy, Air Force, that did not take anybody through the transfer portal, you know who that is?
That would be those Clemson Tigers.
Clemson Tigers. If I believe in what Dabo Swinney was when he played in 2 national championship games in 3 years, when he's won 9 or more games 13 years in a row, or 13 of the last, I think, 15 years. He's won 9 or more games. So he's been in the conversation. And I believe in him as a coach. And by the way, against top 10 teams, Dabo Swinney is he's only 18-13, but that's pretty good. That's third amongst all active coaches. DeBear, Kirby Smart.
Kalen DeBoer, yeah,
DeBoer.
Washington, and Kirby Smart, yeah, would be 1 and 2.
DeBoer 4-1, Kirby Smart 21-8. Dabo Swinney's next. I know, 21-8. How's he doing?
Imagine being 21-8 as a head coach at any program in your first, say, 3 years.
Against
He's 21-8 against top 10 teams.
Top 10 teams. Teams that are supposed to be great. He's got the. That's why I'm saying let's not bet a lot of money outside Georgia,
outside of Georgia
until we figure out that Georgia step back a little bit because they're probably a juggernaut again, and they're going to be in the conversation late. But after you get past that, let's look for somebody that people have given up on, and absolutely Clemson would fall into that.
Mm-hmm.
Underachieved a little bit lately, had some quarterback problems, quarterback issues. They feel like they get them on campus, they develop them, and players get better. That's a foreign thought, foreign concept to most of these programs that are taking people through the transfer portal at every turn. When was the last time Oklahoma was a stepping stone to someplace else?
Right.
This is the world college football is. The leader and Heisman Trophy candidate in the country used the University of Oklahoma as a stepping stone to get to Oregon. That's what college football is right now. So I think there's some value, or at least some merit to a program, at the risk of sounding 70, that has a little loyalty, is developing talent, has also building a culture, has also, by the way, not been bad. This is not I'm not talking about Navy or a team that just is the program, you come in, you pay your dues, we're going to play. That's not what I'm saying. This team has played in 2 national championships in a 3-year period, and they consistently win 9 or 10 games. Is it that far of a fetch to believe that they would be able to take a notch forward? If they take a notch forward, we're talking about teams like Oregon taking a notch forward, or teams like Utah or Oklahoma or Tennessee, or name a lot of teams that have been close and trying to get them over the top. How is Clemson not in that group? They're not in that group because they've been on the top for so long, Brandon, and then they took a step back. So be like, oh, well, they're done. Well, not in a program that isn't going to the transfer portal immediately.
Right.
Not in a program that's given up on their culture and the way they do things. That's just 1 or 2 good choices, good decisions, and good recruits from being back to the top of the mountain. And, oh, by the way, what are you getting on Clemson to win the national title? Let's quick DraftKings, because we've already decided FanDuel's not giving us the best numbers. 45
to 1 on Clemson to win the national title. Second pick in the SEC, or in the ACC, behind Florida State.
They're
behind, a lot of value. Yeah,
and they're behind Florida State because recent history, 1, and 2, as I said leading into the show, Florida State's become a sexy, team to take that step forward. So all I'm saying is, you get a team that's not pillaging the transfer portal, at the risk of sounding like a bad porno. You're talking about a team that's there doing it their way, and they make a couple good decisions. They're back on top at 45 to 1. I'll hedge that a little bit to get out, but I might let that thing ride. You may have one of the favorites by the time you get to the tournament if they make a couple of good choices, and I get a coach that's done it before. So
Pillaging the portal. Name of the episode right here.
Pillaging the transfer portal. That's exactly right. If that doesn't turn up on Skinamax, I don't know what does. So.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to fatjacksports.com, where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. fatjacksports.com.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and for the final time of this week 0, here is our host, a man ready to help turn you a profit this weekend and every week of the football season. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Fat Jack Sports Hour. Getting ready to wrap up the show and get into these week 0 games. And don't forget about preseason. People are so stupid. I put out a thing that said 7-2 in the preseason to start, and some guy emailed or I don't forget, text, whatever, said it's impossible to get a handle of the preseason. I don't know why or something like that. And you know what I did, Brandon? I just deleted it because I've turned over a new thing. We're 7-2, guy. Listen, I've won the preseason the last 5 years. I've said 1,000 times it's not like betting the regular season. So yeah, if you're this guy, Anthony, whatever his name was, from who knows where, he doesn't know how to bet the preseason. He should not be betting the preseason. He probably shouldn't be betting the regular season or the postseason or his favorite season. It doesn't matter. But if you're me and you're my clients, yeah, you're going to bet soccer and you're going to bet the preseason and you're going to bet the postseason. You're going to bet player props because we have a new player prop package. It's up right now. Go get signed up for that if you want to bet player props. We're going to have some going week 1 of the NFL season for sure. 7 to 10 per week most likely, or 5 to 10 per week. They're going to make you money as well. Those are not included in the top pick plays because that is for guys that want to gamble on extra things like soccer and like baseball and like the preseason. So, but go get signed up for that at fatjacksports.com as well. Brandon, what are your final thoughts before we get out of here? What are you looking forward to this weekend? And help me out here.
Going to a boys trip, just to fly up to Chicago for a day to go see a game at Wrigley. So playing hooky from work for a day just to do that before football season really gets underway. And weirdest thing that happened to me over the weekend, I am now followed on Twitter by Jose Canseco.
Wow.
I have never even, I had to search it. I've never even said his name on Twitter, yet I earned a follow. So one of 3 things is happening. One, roid rage is a thing. Maybe he got mad at something I said and he wanted to follow me so he could DM me. 2, maybe he's a gambler and he wants advice, but if that's the case, why did he follow me and not you? And 3, do I follow him back? I'm not a Bash Bro guy. I didn't care for him or McGuire. So
he may follow me. I would never know. And
I looked, he doesn't. So now, so you know what? I'm going to call out Jose Canseco and say, you know what? If you're following me for any of these reasons, cool. If you're following me for gambling advice or insight or analysis, no. Go follow Fat Jack.
No, my guess is one or 2 things. Either you know how they do the old follow, so you'll follow me and then they unfollow you. That's a thing. You may be getting that, so I would watch and make sure he doesn't unfollow you at some point. That's number 1. Number 2, a lot of your takes on Twitter are very aggressive. And they are grumpy. And so Jose Canseco seems like he might enjoy some of that.
So maybe he thinks that his roid rage is being amplified and he sees a lot of himself in my tweets.
Maybe he wants to be he might want to be your bro, you know? See if he's hanging out in Chicago with your guys' trip. You guys are out down eating at Joe's Stone Crab and going to the Cubs game. Maybe Jose wants to join. So
man.
I don't
know. My life may have just changed. I don't know.
I'm excited to hear how this thing progresses. So
you and me both. I'm a little scared, not going to lie.
Well, fire up. It's a great season. It's a great time of season to be following Brandon. Or Brandon, what's your Twitter on your handle?
At Brandon Rush on all the socials, just like you're at Fat Jack Sports on all the socials. Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, you name it, we're there.
It cannot hurt. Follow us. You'll get some free winners out of the deal. You'll also be able to see how we're doing on a weekly basis. Guys, don't drink and drive. Wager responsibly. Week 0's here. Don't lose money this weekend. Get signed up at fatjacksports.com. Have a great weekend. Until next week, we've got week 1, and we are on the cusp of the NFL. Join us then at the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Guys, have a great weekend. See you soon.